Welcome back, everybody. It is episode 322 of the SCB Steelers Podcast, presented by Deck Roofing Incorporated of South Florida. And we are great to have you and any of you that actually
grateful.
want to spend time with us during the off season. I mean, holy crap. And to be very honest with you, as far as agendas for these shows during the summertime, they basically go out the window within about the first 5 minutes. But be that as it may, we'll do our best to talk all kinds of Steelers and stuff and a few other things. And I'm going to have to start issuing tardies. He doesn't even have his headset on yet. Start issuing tardies for those that are late to the show.
Hey, you guys are wearing the same shirt. Oh, it's so cool.
Yeah,
man.
I didn't get the memo.
Thanks for the text. Yeah. Thanks for the text.
Yeah, really.
It could be worse. We could be wearing hoodies during the summer.
I mean,
yeah.
It is a cool 61.8 degrees in my basement.
Ooh.
And about 40% humidity.
I'm guessing my basement's probably not much different. Or should I say my studio? I mean my studio. For sure. Yeah. Hello, everyone. I see Jen has already jumped on. Hello, Jen. Hope everything is well up in Sheboygan. It's a town in Wisconsin, eh? And yeah, so good to see everybody. Hope everybody's well, enjoying the summertime best they can. I'm in grad party preparation mode. We got a little graduation party coming up this weekend, and it's actually not terrible because you find yourself getting stuff done that you probably need to get done but wouldn't have gotten done. But in any case, a lot of landscape projects and all that kind of wonderful stuff getting done. So anyway, that's coming up. And more importantly, what is everyone drinking this evening? Scarps, you were up first, so I'm going to go ahead and pick you first.
I got the Redemption High.
Oh, really?
The high rye.
The high rye. It's a little bit more proof.
Yeah,
Ben's got that too.
The proof is in the pudding, quite frankly.
I saw that when I picked up my Redemption. They had 2 or 3 different flavors, if you would,
gentlemen.
I was motherfucking the Steelers just a moment ago because
it was actually cheaper. It was $1 cheaper.
They're having players sing their favorite Taylor Swift song for the social media post just now.
You know what? I know whose fault this is.
I don't care, but go ahead.
It's Craig's daughter. I think it's Lex's fault, and I'll tell you why. Because she saw them do a thing the other day. They were interviewing Kenny Pickett, I think it was, and of course Kenny was rushed home with his fiancée to get back to New Jersey because they have their wedding. Their nuptials are coming up, and look, she got on Twitter and said, "I think it would be a great idea if they asked all the players their favorite Taylor Swift songs and maybe they sang some of them." And lo and behold, look what happened.
Whose nuptials?
Kenny Pickett. Kenny's getting married this week.
Yeah. No, this is it's awful. And they can't sing either, which makes it even worse.
Well, yeah, it's like I singing.
Yeah, exactly. Except that we would never sing one of those songs because we don't know them. All right, so moving along, football.
Yeah, no, not yet. What are you drinking, Ben? I'm sorry.
The high rye.
Oh, beautiful. Also the high rye. And Ian?
Oh shit! Actually, I left my beer over on my Beermeister, so I'm gonna have to.
That is alcohol abuse. I assume he's drinking the Sam Adams.
I'm sorry.
Spill it. It's fine.
I'm drinking the Sam Adams Summer Ale. I was doing some yard work earlier, so this is a very nice after yard work beer.
Oh, it is.
There
it
we
is.
go.
I've bought like 4 of these in the last 2 weeks. Not because I've been drinking them, because I've been giving partially. I've been giving them out as gifts, and so this one I finally got for myself, and it's been
really cool if all of you retweeted this, as opposed to just sitting there.
Well, I can't retweet from your screen, Ben.
Sending the link Well, I think you were all tagged in it. You weren't.
The first one I sent out today, we were.
This one actually has the link on it. Maybe you should tag us in that so we can retweet it. I'm just thinking out loud here.
I got behind.
I blame the social media manager.
Yes, I'm going to also blame the social media manager as well.
He's on this podcast with a beard and a shaved head.
What the hell's Jeremiah doing at the Hall of Fame? What an awesome site.
Maybe he just likes the smell of Ohio. I don't know. Ryan certainly likes
one
it.
likes. I mean, Ryan survived 4 years in the smell of Ohio. My son's about to do the same.
Man, I'm gonna tell you what, man. I grew up in Ohio, man. Like literally, those 4 years in Athens, I grew up.
Oh, bet you did.
Y'all can fucking hate on Ohio all you want, but I'm telling you right now, it was real.
Nah, I'm with you. It's my son participating in college for the next 4 years in Ohio. I'm really struggling with that, but what can I tell you?
Are you gonna send a bottle of the bourbon with him to college, or let him drink it with you over the summer?
Not gonna
I mean, would you rather him have really good stuff or some gas station Southern Comfort? Okay, I'm just saying.
Gas station Southern Comfort.
To be fair, I learned the hard way.
Very good point.
I mean, let's be honest. That's a rite of passage. That's just something you got to do in college anyway. Learn the hard lesson and get sick.
You're correct.
Yeah.
So I want to, before we get into the football and stuff, guys, and I know you guys are aware of this, but I want to put this out there. We have had a guy that's been a friend of SteelCityBlitz.com for a long, long time. And many of you know him on Twitter. He's exceptionally funny. He loves everybody. And, his kids lost their mother this week, and I don't know the whole story. I'm not going to go into that, but Brandon has along with his daughter, they've put up a GoFundMe page to help offset costs of funeral and stuff. And if anybody out there is so choosing and willing to donate, please do so. Brandon is one of the hardest working guys. He is absolutely hilarious on Twitter. And again, he doesn't take things too seriously, especially in Steelers world, which we probably need more of. But anyway, I wanted to make sure we mentioned that to him. And if he happens to be listening tonight or at his leisure, Brandon, we're thinking about you and your kids, and let us know what you need on our end, man, because we've appreciated him being with us for all these years. So anyway, I'll put the banner up a few more times during the course of the show tonight. As far as the Pittsburgh Steelers, they wrapped up mini camp today, and I've been so busy, guys. I did not see much out of Pittsburgh today, so I'm not gonna sit here and pretend like I was covering it. Did they do did they go see a movie today?
It's usually a social day.
Yeah,
or
team building. Taylor Swift songs. That's what they're
last
doing
week.
today.
That was last week. They went go-kart because Mike Tomlin was riding in one.
Yeah, but that was OTAs, right? It wasn't. I thought they did what they did on the day during minicamp as well.
Yeah, I always thought the last day of minicamp was go to the movie.
No.
Okay. All right.
They might have an abbreviated practice or something, but the team building was always during OTAs.
Okay.
So they were there today.
They were there. They were working.
They were singing songs on the field today, and it was awful. You guys have got to see this tweet later.
Well, I mean, nothing. Gets me through a day than quite like listening to Steelers sing Taylor Swift songs.
Anyone sing, even Taylor Swift sing Taylor Swift songs. I don't really want to listen to that either. I'm just saying. Sorry.
I'll say this: she seems like a fine young woman, but her music is not for me.
No, it's not, and she seems really angry at all her exes too.
Well, she
super
does.
funny.
I mean, when Seth MacFarlane and Family Guy make an entire episode about the fact that she breaks up with guys on purpose to write songs, then there's probably a little bit of a pattern. So, yeah, but
I need a beer.
No shit. Enough Taylor Swift. My God. The Steelers, I think, as far as we know, guys, they survived that dreaded minicamp injury thing. And look, we saw the Jets. They brought in what's his name, Clark from the Ravens, a safety earlier in the offseason, and it looks like he's got a pretty significant knee injury. There was a 5th-round pick yesterday. I want to say, God, where was he from? Minnesota, maybe, that went down with a pretty severe injury and is probably done for the year. So and obviously, too, guys, these are all non-contact, soft tissue, as they say, type injuries and stuff. But, man, I hold my breath for minicamp. I really, really do, because you just hate to see that type of thing happen. Ian?
Yeah, I like how you threw it to me because you knew exactly what I was going to say.
I did.
Yeah, this is the time of year when no news is good news. The only other than like a contract extension happening, the only news that can happen this time of year is somebody got injured or somebody got arrested or somebody did something stupid on social media. So, and sometimes number 2 and 3 go together. Sometimes number 1 and 3 go together. People are doing dumb stunts for social media and then they get hurt. Thankfully, TJ Watt did not get hurt cleaning his pool. He should probably hire a pool guy. But generally speaking, this is the time of year you don't want to hear any news about your team. No news is awesome. From like now until the beginning of training camp, if we hear nothing about the Steelers, other than maybe they sign a guy or two, it'll be a great summer.
Yeah. Yeah, no, agreed. You don't want to hear about your favorite team over the course of the next,
pictures
6-7
of
weeks.
Guys walking on the beach in Cabo or something.
Yes.
Okay, fine. Whatever. They're on vacation.
Right.
It's all good.
Yep.
Totally fine. But other than that, no.
Yeah.
Make sure
Ryan, are you rooting for like a dumb tweet or 2 or 3 or somebody getting arrested?
No.
No.
Stephon Diggs is taking care of that for everybody.
Yeah, I would say that
he is.
Did he do something today?
I didn't see anything. He hasn't dyed his mustache yet. So
okay,
he showed up. He was working.
I saw he was,
and I think he was there today.
Okay, yeah, he was there yesterday. I know that for sure. Tuesday was the day that it was like, but
hasn't dyed his mustache yet. That's a good way of putting it.
That was always you're right. No news is good news, and I really, knock on wood, can't remember a Steelers off season, especially OTAs and minicamp that were this quiet. I mean, I remember seeing. I'm not going to name some names, but I remember seeing a group of twins that were all pros in this league wearing a free Hernandez hats at a birthday party. That was a good time. And no news is good news. So
I aged well.
I don't root for that against anybody, because I'll tell you this, I've had to deal with it many times where you think that you got a good afternoon or a couple weeks to sort of just get prepared for camp and finish up the media guide and all that shit, and then somebody does something stupid.
Ryan, have you ever heard Tomlin speak to the team at the end of minicamp? I mean, does he say anything about, look, guys, these next several weeks before camp, don't do anything stupid, or does he just kind of say, see you in a few weeks?
I mean, I don't think he's ever been that direct. I mean, I've definitely heard his breakdown speech, and it's usually, see you in Latrobe or see you in Latrobe, for all you Latrobians who get pissed off if I say Latrobe. But I mean, I don't ever remember him being like, don't fuck up or something like that. But I will say that, I also too, like, I used to think about this all the time. Rookies I can understand. Maybe you get a little bit more of a lecture, but like, Tomlin was very fortunate where he always had pretty much veterans. This is a time where he doesn't really have that many veterans besides Cam. So I always just found it funny, like you have to tell grown ass men to behave themselves, and I've always just like found that like the irony of that.
Mhm.
And I remember Hines Ward got a DUI during the summer, like right before it was 2011. So like there was the
Remember how weird
lockout.
that was, though? He was tweeting all day about driving safely.
Yes, it was.
and
Yes,
not
it was.
texting while you're driving.
That's
and,
right.
Like that
That's
was
right.
his new pet
Yes.
thing. He's going to be a safe driver and all that, and then he gets a DUI.
Yeah,
Like-
it was very odd and the irony. But even guys like, even veterans mess up. But
Yes.
I just always found it funny, like when you have to like tell grown men to behave themselves. It's just it's weird. I mean, look at me. I'm drinking on a Thursday night. Who cares?
You're home.
That is true. I'm not going anywhere,
Yeah,
and the
you're-
baby's already here.
Right, right. Yeah,
Good.
no worries about late night drives to the hospital tonight. Anyway, at least we hope, right?
Hey Ryan, speaking of
yeah.
the media guide, whose decision was it to stop sending it to the season ticket holders with their package of season tickets? Because I have media guides from like 1972 through 2014 when you assholes stopped sending them out.
I've seen the stack. It's impressive.
I was there at the time, and I will say that was not a decision from the PR department.
Yeah, I'm
And I'll
still
leave it at
sore
that.
about that. By the way,
It was somebody who said, we're printing the internet and then mailing it to people at a huge expense, and this is fucking stupid. Let's not do this anymore.
And if
somebody
you
said,
and if
second
you-
the motion.
And if you really want a hard copy, you can buy one. I mean,
I wanna
that's
buy
like,
one.
well,
He
no,
paid
I'm
his
not-
good hard-earned money for
no,
that.
no. I'm saying that like it, like like you don't want to waste money on printing things, Ian. Not that okay, not that the Steelers don't love their season ticket holders, but yeah, I mean,
No, they treat them like cash cows. It's fine.
But I mean, no, but I mean, like it's like I don't. What's this? What's this cost? Well, why? What? We could save this much money if we don't do this, and then still sell it at the pro shop. So if Mr. Ian wants to buy one, he can spend. I don't know.
it was like $30 or
yeah,
something.
they're probably
I wasn't
40.
spending
I was
$30
gonna say
on that.
40,
Yeah.
$45, but
Yeah.
I mean, hey, listen, they're struggling. They're struggling financially. Okay.
Yeah,
I mean, like,
yeah.
Oh
Yeah.
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 you
They're
know,
hurting.
Yeah, they took away my bathroom reading from like 2014 on. I was disappointed. How was I supposed to know how to pronounce Palamalu the right way?
I was gonna say,
Oh, that's
how many
funny.
pieces of gum do you go through while reading Danny Smith's bio?
Did you, speaking of Danny Smith, did you see the Pat McAfee piece the other day?
Yes.
Amazing.
Him going off on Danny? That was awesome. Fuck that guy. He's the greatest guy. I love him. He's a great guy to go out and have a beer, but fuck him. He's an asshole.
You know, what I found, the other thing too is what I found hilarious about that is that and I know this was a team's play, but like we think of Troy as this like such a cerebral, person on the field, and then he literally like randomly remembered that Danny Smith was like, hey, we can't be so obvious on with
Can't
our
be so
sets.
predictable.
You can't be so predictable. And
Right.
Troy all of a sudden was just like, yeah, like, you know what? I think I'm gonna line up over here. Like, and it's just like, and like it costs like it literally like that Pat McAfee story about that is like it like I mean it's everywhere. It went viral, and I remember exactly when it happened, and I mean I remember exactly what happened and watching it from the press box and being like he was bitching at Vinatieri about something. And I'm like, what was he bitching? And then like years later, it comes out that they had something totally different lined up. I mean that was also the game where Ben threw like 1,000 touchdowns and they had zero chance.
That's
So
right.
so the fake field goal might have actually kept it a little bit closer than it was, but.
Yeah, that was
I
the
digress.
back-to-back like 6 touchdown weeks.
It was.
Because there
That
was the
back-to-back
Baltimore one
those
and then the
bad
Indy one. Yeah.
weeks.
Yep.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
I remember that. I was driving back from my cousin's wedding in New York listening to the Colts game on the radio. I
And I
picked up
said-
some
he says-
Altoona station as we passed State College right when the game started, and I was able to listen to it the whole way home.
Who was the head coach then for the Colts?
Pagano.
Pagano. So he says
Yeah.
Pagano's walking into the locker room and they're going, what happened? I thought you were scoring a touchdown on that play. What the hell? He's like, look at the fucking pictures.
It's like pull them all lined up in the C gap. It's like McAfee's a gem. That's fucking.
Yeah.
Although
absolutely.
he missed 2 field goals. against Pitt 13-9 for all
That's
you
true.
West Virginia folks out
Ooh,
there.
yeah.
I didn't go to Pitt, so don't fucking yell at me, okay?
Right.
There's a great article out there about how that game basically impacted like the next 6 years of college football.
Yes, I think I've seen
I've
that.
posted it before, and it's
I think I read that too. Yeah.
that basically because like that game, and then like if West Virginia wins that game and goes on to win the national championship, like does Rich Rod then bail for Michigan? Like probably not. And if Rich Rod doesn't go to Michigan, then like Terrell Pryor was supposed to go to West Virginia to be with Rich Rod, and then Pryor wound up going to Ohio State instead, which wound up getting Jim Tressel fired. And then there was something with Les Miles. Les Miles wound up going to Michigan, and it was like this whole cascade of things that like the 13-9 game impacted.
Less miles, more kilometers.
Ooh.
I'm already buzzed. This is not going to be good.
Great. Outstanding.
I don't do this much anymore.
Drunk Ryan is a fun Ryan.
So a lot of discussion.
Bad drinking is much different than
it is.
single
It's fucking
drinking.
wild. My life is wild now.
You're short on sleep, and alcohol hits you a lot faster.
Yes, it
God
does.
bless America.
Yes, it does.
Sorry, go ahead.
No, you're good. A lot of talk in the last 24 hours about Alex Highsmith, whether or not that's going to get done. Ben, what do you think? Is he going to get a new deal?
50-50. If I'm his agent, I hold out and probably don't accept what the Steelers are going to offer. But he apparently wants to stay, so maybe.
Yeah,
maybe if they get close enough.
How much? I don't have it in front of me right now. How much are they in salary cap wise on the defensive side of the ball? I'm just to ballpark.
How much on defense?
Yeah, because obviously you've got a lot of money with TJ Watt. You've got a lot of money with Cam Hayward. You got a lot of money with Minka.
I don't know.
Yeah, probably a lot because all the veterans are on defense. The offense is young.
That's exactly. Yeah, it's all about age.
Right.
I mean, even Cam,
Yeah, and you look at like obviously the two inside linebackers, not a big deal. You've got one of your starting corners is going to be a rookie. Looks, I don't want to get too far ahead of ourselves, but probably going to be a starter. So I'm just curious, how the Steelers are approaching this. I think they like Highsmith. I think they'd love to keep him there, but at the same time, they're not going to break the bank for him either. And they've never really done that when it's come to two outside linebackers. Usually one is well paid and the other one is I guess maybe exception would be Woodley and Harrison.
Yeah.
Actually, it's not that far.
But then Harrison was asked to take a pay cut and said, up your ass, and left.
Right.
And mainly it was because he watched Woodley get paid, and Woodley's level of effort to stay in shape and hone his game was not there.
Nope.
And he was pissed. He was just like,
yeah,
you're gonna pay this guy this much to ask me to take a pay cut. He doesn't even work hard.
Yeah, and he had one hamstring injury after another. I mean, he just really
those soft tissue injuries. Yeah,
it was
actually the
first 7 games of that season, though.
Oh, the 2011 year before he got hurt. Oh my goodness,
he was a terror.
Yeah,
an absolute terror.
One of my, I loved him. He was so awesome. He was.
Me too.
He was fucking. Sorry, a lot of F words tonight, but he was. I look back on my time there and smile and think of those times fondly. And Lamar Woodley just. I remember the first time I saw him, he was so big.
His arms, his
arms were bigger than my legs. I met him once, and I was like, "This is ridiculous."
He had Hulk Hogan 24-inch pythons.
He did.
I mean, it was unbelievable. And then when he got hurt, he actually was in shape. He was he was lean, and I don't know if that hurt him, or he wasn't on the right training or whatever. But anyway. He was a great dude, and honestly, like
it seemed that year
his
like
playoff production was ridiculous. Sorry,
kept trying to come back a little soon,
a little too soon. We talked,
and
about
it was because he was under the big contract and tried to come back and play, and he couldn't go less than 110%, and he he'd pull a hamstring again. And when you do that successively over and over and over again in a short period of time, you build up scar tissue. And then you're kind of fucked because it's going to be a problem forever. I was worried at one point that Troy was going to have this problem. He didn't have it eventually, but he did go have the what do they call that therapy? Where they
he did.
They just they
recycle your
own
blood.
Your own red blood cells, and
right.
they inject those back into the area where it's injured in order to speed up the healing process.
Yeah.
And he was back a couple of weeks later, and he was okay.
Yeah, that's the thing with those soft tissue injuries too, is you overcompensate on the other side, right? Because if you have a bum right hamstring, you're gonna lean a little more towards your left and try and do more there. Then you wind up blowing something over there because your equilibrium's all off. It's a mess. The soft tissue injuries are the worst.
One thing about 2011, I'll try to.
I'd say an ACL is worse. Anyway,
nowadays though, I mean, like ACLs in the 80s and 90s were bad, like they were career enders. But nowadays, you can
an ACL is still a season ender.
It's a season ender, but guys come back from those in
Rod
9-10 months now. Yeah,
right. But in the 80s, you had guys like Billy Sims. I mean, it was basically you're done.
You're done. Yeah.
Yeah, Kajana Carter. Running back out of Penn State, got drafted by the Bengals and blew out his knee, and Barry Foster even, it was
God, that's right.
Sorry, Ryan. 2011.
Go ahead.
No,
I have
2011. Remember that was the year. So Woodley tried to come back a couple of different times, but Harrison, remember he blew out, he broke his occipital bone or orbital bone.
Orbital bone in his face. Yeah.
And
one of my buddies in college broke that bone
against the Texans, and then Lawrence Timmons was playing outside linebacker.
Yes, he was.
And I know that'll always go down as the Tebow game, but if you actually look at that defense, like who was actually on the field during that play, everybody was hurt. Cam Hayward was playing snaps, and he shouldn't have been playing snaps because everybody was hurt. Troy was out. Ryan Clark didn't play. Woodley was banged up. Harrison was
basically that defense aged out that year.
It did
literally that game. They literally aged out that game.
They were just they played a season. They were still a veteran unit, but they were old. And they aged out, and when they finally got to the playoffs, you're exactly right. They couldn't field that same unit that they'd played with all season for that game. And Ryan had the sickle cell trait that almost killed him.
Yeah.
And Troy was out on that play. God, a lot of people were out.
I thought Troy was on the field.
Ryan Mundy.
Monday. Monday was the person I blamed it on.
I know Tyrone Carter was on the field.
I said it was
horrible. But no, because I thought when they went back, the defensive call was like an inverted cover 6 that the safeties were playing
inverted
up.
Cover 2.
Inverted cover 2, yeah. But the safeties were playing up to try and get the short stuff, and the corners were supposed to drop back, and they hit him with like a post route, and it was just gone because there was nobody in the middle of the field.
The corners played inside leverage, but they were deep. They were off.
Yeah.
And he hit it with a post and ran between. And if Mundy had just for a second slowed down that route or redirected it, we would have been okay. But he was peeking into the backfield looking for an opportunity to jump. And so, I blamed him.
Yeah.
And no, Ike Taylor was like right away, nah, it was me. That was my fault.
Well, and the other thing too is I feel like every cornerback has one wide receiver that they just can't cover, right? Joe Hayden's was Antonio Brown. Joe Hayden just could not cover Antonio Brown.
Thomas is a pretty fucking good wide receiver.
And Demaryius Thomas was Ike Taylor's kryptonite. Is what I'm saying.
R.I.P.
Yeah, Demaryius Thomas just. Ike Taylor was awesome. He shut down Chad Johnson. He shut down AJ Green.
If you're going to get beat by a guy, it's not like he got beat by fucking, I don't know, Anthony Miller.
Right. No. Demaryius Thomas was a damn good player.
He was fantastic.
I'm just saying that, it seems like every corner has one guy that they just struggle to match up against, and that was Ike's one guy.
And say what you want, but Tebow he had something. That team had something going for the last 4 to 5 weeks of the season and that game. And I know they got
won that
trounced.
crazy ass game against Chicago
They
too.
trounced.
I mean, that game never should have gone to overtime.
Didn't we have chances on offense?
We
and
did.
Yes,
We had
and
the
we
ball.
won.
That game shouldn't have gone to overtime, and it should not have come down to that play. And
we took it to overtime on a late touchdown to Cautry.
But there were a lot of opportunities throughout that game that the Steelers offense blew.
Yeah.
We had the ball
and everybody remembers
multiple times and couldn't get it close. So like end of the first half, we had it at midfield and couldn't get into field goal range.
Everybody remembers that game as a defensive failure, and it was a total team loss. The whole team fucking lost that game.
Yeah.
You know, and speaking of ACLs, and I'm gonna say, and I gotta go get a refill. Can't even talk. Gotta go get a refill. But John Norwig, the Steelers trainer, has just retired, and Wig, I have tons of stories about Wig. I'm gonna tell one right now. He was a great dude, but he was super passionate on the sidelines.
Now, just for reference for fans, Dr. Norwig, if you don't know who Ryan's talking about.
He's not a doctor, but that's fine.
Well, but you could not miss him.
Don't tell him he's a doctor.
he had the white silver kind of
silver fox.
Johnny Quest's dad type hair.
Yeah.
What a reference.
Yeah,
thank you.
Good. Still
and just you couldn't miss him. I mean, anytime there was any sort of injury, he was going to be Johnny on the spot. Anyway, go ahead, Ryan.
And so I was still an intern at the time, and there was no guarantee I was going to get hired full time. So if they lost, I was done and I didn't even play. But the point is that like at that point I didn't give a fuck if Wig was being a dick. Like we had so many injured players, I had to let the PR staff know so they could tell the media. And I remember literally it was just a slew of injuries. And I remember Max Starks came out of the game, and Wig said it's his ACL, tore his ACL. And I remember I phoned up and said, "Hey man, Max Starks tore his ACL." And as PR people, you never say he tore his ACL. You say he has a knee injury, he's questionable. Right. And literally, as I turn my head, he goes back into the game. And I'm like, oh fuck. So then like the phone rings and they're like, what do you do? I'm like, it's what Wig said. It's what Wig said, back and forth. So then Wig and I get into a little confrontation on the sidelines. Literally two plays later, Max Starks literally tore his ACL. And I like those types of interactions on the sidelines is the stuff that people don't see, and everybody's fired up.
That's a great point.
They're running to different people, and I just remember John was like, he tore his ACL, and I'm like, all right, well, he fucking tore his ACL.
A football sideline has so many things going on at any given time. A lot of the general average fans do not really know it. So many things happening at once.
And after the game, I'd always see him, and he'd be like, "I'm sorry if I was a prick, but you." And I was like, "I get it, dude." I was like, "We're good." But Max Starks, if you're listening, I probably cursed you by saying it.
Now, Ryan, when you said call up, who is it that you're calling?
I would call the head PR guy. So Dave, but Bert. I call Bert and say, "Hey." Or Bert would call down and say like, "Hey, the media is asking about this guy."
Okay, I got you.
But like, I mean, like, well, God bless Wig, but it'd be like I would get a call about something, and of course I know somebody hasn't been in the game for 5 or 6 snaps, and I'd be like, Wig, he'd be like, and I'd be like, what's up with so and so? And like there'd be times he's like, you gotta fucking tell the media, you might have a concussion. I'm like, I don't know. Like, do you want
tell me?
Like, you tell me. But like, it was always a wild time there. But
that's what I mean. The sidelines are crazy.
But that game literally was like, what's wrong with Max Starks? What's wrong with Brett Kiesel? What's wrong with Casey Hampton? What's wrong with Troy Polamalu? What's wrong with this dude? And I'm just like, at one point, the phone rang and I just let it fucking ring because I had no answers. What the fuck am I supposed to say? Anyway, I'm gonna refill, and I'm sure everybody's interested in that.
Now, believe it or not, like 15 minutes ago, we started this portion of the conversation of talking about Alex Highsmith. And
Oh,
somehow
yeah.
we got here, but
Hi,
that's
Alex.
okay.
It's
Like
the
I said, it's the off season. Ian, what are your thoughts? Ben said 50-50. What do you think?
Yeah, I'd say Ben's probably about right. I mean, I don't know. I mean, I think the Steelers would like to have him back. I think he'd like to come back. I think it's just a matter of getting the number right, and the number could be a challenge because teams are paying top end outside or edge rushers a lot of damn money, and he had 14 and a half sacks last year, which is a lot. Now granted, like we've said on the show before, 11 of those were with TJ Watt on the field. The other thing you asked Mark before was about the offense versus defense spending. It's actually not as big of a discrepancy as I thought it was.
Okay.
Defense is about 118 million and offense is at about 104. So
Okay.
yeah, it's actually, I guess all those dudes we signed on the offensive line have made some difference because, other than Deontay, we've got a bunch of either rookie or, veteran minimum wide receivers. We've got tight ends that are all on rookie contracts, or I guess Zach Gentry's on a veteran minimum deal.
Yeah.
And Najee's still on his rookie deal and Kenny Pickett's on his rookie deal. So yeah. But surprisingly it is, relatively close.
It's closer than I would have thought.
I'm going to say 60-40, actually. I'm looking at the table right now.
Yeah.
And I mean,
what do you think the number is? I'm just curious.
That's the problem. Okay, Hassan Reddick's making $15 million. Randy Gregory is making $13.9. Jonathan Franklin Myers is making 13.75. Matt Judon's making 13.6. So he's going to be north of $14-15 million.
Yeah, I mean, I think the Trey Hendrickson deal with the Bengals at $15 million is probably the floor for him because they signed him. Hendrickson didn't have a 10-sack season in New Orleans. They signed him as like a guy with upside, and he's blown up in Cincy. So, I mean, I think 15 is the floor.
You're looking at, okay, let's just say it was $15 million. That's $43 million a year committed to one position.
Right.
I don't see it.
And that's right. And the other thing too,
I mean, if he was a quarterback, sure, but he's not.
How much are the Steelers looking at that stat that we've talked about and that Ian just pointed out, that when TJ Watt's on the field, his numbers are great, but when TJ Watt isn't on the field, they're not so great. How much are they factoring that in?
I mean, they're probably factoring that in, but they're also factoring in the fact that they like Alex and they like what he brings to the unit, and they like the fact that he's playing Robin to Batman, and you need that guy.
No doubt.
You do. Okay. So, and it's not that easy just to say, well, no big deal, we'll just replace him. You can't. I think it would have been great if Bud Dupree would have come back, but he didn't want to be a backup. And if you had a Bud Dupree, I'll be frank, the likelihood that Alex Smith would get an extension would be lower.
Yeah, I'm with you. Yeah. Scarps, what do you think? These guys are around 50-50, 60-40 that he gets it.
Kudos to him for saying the right things. I really do think he wants to be here, but if I'm his agent, I'm telling him, don't take this deal. Don't take this offer.
Yeah.
Because I don't want to say overpaid in a negative context towards him, because I do think he's a good football player. But yes, I do think the Steelers are well aware that he is better when TJ Watt is in the game. And that being said, I think he's going to test the free agent market. I don't think a deal gets done. And if it does get done, good for the Steelers, good for Steelers fans, but I think it's a bad thing for him. Although, let's say TJ's health isn't the best, and then Alex Highsmith has a chance to shine. But I think that we talk about it on the show. You have your rookie contract, then you get that one chance to get that next contract, that one chance to get guaranteed dough. And then maybe you outlive that contract, and if you outlive that contract, you're way ahead of the game and do what most players in this league don't do.
Yep.
So then it kind of sort of, you have look at a Patrick Peterson, if you will. He has the option to, kind of do what he wants.
Yeah,
but
absolutely.
I think both sides are in a good spot, and I don't think nothing needs to be forced.
Yeah, that's
one other thing.
Good way to put it.
I'll
Yeah, go ahead,
add
Ian.
too is Highsmith he was older when they drafted him. He was like 22. His first year he was 23. He's entering his age 26 season. So like his next contract's going to start when he's 27. So if he signs a 3 or 4 year deal, that's taking him through his age 30 season. So on one hand, like, yeah, this is really his only chance to cash in before his age 30 season. On the other hand, if he wants to stay in Pittsburgh, like a 2-year extension with a decent sized signing bonus to give him another shot at free agency before he hits 30, right? Because it could be a 2-year extension would be this year's age 26, and that'd be 27, 28. Might not be the worst thing in the world. So like I could potentially see him doing a shorter deal to stay here, like basically a 3-year deal / 2-year extension after this year, to give himself another shot at free agency before he hits 30.
I think that's a great take.
Just to circle back real quickly, Alex's numbers with and without TJ. In the 10 games that he played with TJ Watt, he had
11 sacks, right?
He had 11 sacks. Yeah. He had 7 tackles for loss and 15 quarterback hits. In the 7 games he played without Watt, he had 3.5 sacks, 5 tackles for loss, and 5 quarterback hits. Far less productive. So when he's got to be the man, it's a little easier to stop him. Right. So they're going to take that into account and go,
they have to.
Do we really have to pay him like a number one? Is anyone else going to? Somebody might.
I mean, it only takes one, right? Like
that all too well.
Look at the Deshaun Watson situation. It only takes one, right?
Look at the Bud Dupree situation where they signed a big contract. They have buyer's remorse. As soon as the guaranteed money is paid out, actually there was some guaranteed money left on his deal, and they cut him anyway.
Right.
Well, I mean, I think Bud absolutely benefited from TJ Watt and got paid because of TJ Watt, and
he had a couple of monster years.
Did he?
He had a couple of good years. Yeah, he did.
Well, Bud and Highsmith are different players, though. Bud complimented TJ because Bud was a speed rusher that could get off the edge quick.
Yeah,
and
Bud was a better speed rusher.
They double teamed Bud a lot more than Bud freed up TJ a lot too, because Bud's speed made the offense have to chip him or he would get there so quickly. Right. So they couldn't dedicate a second guy to TJ. Whereas Highsmith has more power than Bud did, and is better against the run than Bud was. So that said, Highsmith has also benefited from, now that TJ is the guy and the double team's going that way, Highsmith has a very good spin move. He's pretty good with his hands.
He has great hands.
He's got more lower body power than Bud did. So he can power his way to the quarterback. Right. He doesn't just have to speed his way there.
And he's a better edge setter, as you pointed out.
Yes. Yeah. So, they're different players opposite TJ. And I think they've complemented TJ in different ways.
Fair. Yeah, I think that's a very good way of putting it. Well, we'll see. I'm with you guys. I think right now it's a coin flip.
By the way, shout out to all of our fans who have joined us on a random Thursday in the middle of June to talk about the Steelers. Like, you guys are lighting it up in the chat. Like, this is great.
Yeah,
they are amazing.
Appreciate
people.
You all.
We
appreciate
do.
You all.
We do.
I don't think it's even as good as 50-50. Now that I'm really thinking it and thinking about the money involved and what he might be giving up by not testing free agency.
I think it's 50-50, and I say that strictly almost based on what he wants to do. I think if
I don't, Mark, because the Steelers aren't going to pay him $15 million, and that would be the floor. I mean, honestly, I think on the market he'd get a couple of mil more. He gets 17 or 18.
Yes,
And so he's going to look at it from that standpoint. His agent's going to look at it from that standpoint.
Yeah.
And they're going to set a floor. And if that floor is $15 million, I don't see the Steelers coming close because it's just too much money to dedicate to one position.
Right. No, I agree with that. I guess the outlier to me is just if something comes up like what Ian was talking about. But that's a gamble too, because man, one injury and forget it.
Here's the other thing I'll say too. You know, if you look at the list of, you know, outside linebacker contracts, like I mentioned, Trey Hendrickson signed for $15 million a year,
right.
But he only had $16 million guaranteed. Versus, you know, you go down the list a little bit, like DeMarcus Lawrence with the Cowboys signed for $13 million and change, but had $30 million guaranteed. So, like, I think you could come down on the average per year, but you're probably going to have to be in that 25 to 30 million total guaranteed range. Is probably where it's gonna work itself out, and that's the one thing we haven't seen with Omar Khan yet. Like forever, Kevin Colbert was, you get your signing bonus, and that's the only guaranteed money you get. There's no other guarantees the rest of the contract. It's just the signing bonus is all we guarantee.
In fairness, that was not a policy that Kevin Colbert set.
Well, that was a Steelers policy in general.
The Steelers policy, and Kevin had to deliver the message.
Yeah, but
you know, and basically the Steelers were eventually faced with the fact that they were going to have to modernize. Yeah, and that actually happened. Well, Kevin was still there, which shocked the shit out of me, but they finally did it.
Well, the COVID stuff kind of forced it too, with the flat salary cap and all that.
The flat salary cap definitely did, and restructuring contracts. That was the first thing. I was just like, holy shit, they're putting void years in.
Right,
oh my god. Oh my god, this is fucking bizarre. I cannot believe this is the Steelers. They're putting void years on contracts. Oh my god. And then when they guaranteed all that money to TJ, I was like, whoa, they didn't even do that for Ben.
Yeah.
Holy shit.
Right. I think Roethlisberger's pissed about that somehow.
I doubt it. Who cares?
Ben
He's made like
$250
million.
He's got a pool with his number in the bottom of it. For
Ben has plenty of cash. So much he's selling his house. Is he moving away from the Berg?
Yeah, I still haven't gotten any answers on that.
Me either.
Hey, the U.S. scored against Mexico.
Ole, 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 ole. No,
Pulisic did.
Oh wow, good for him.
Is it Cup qualifying or no?
It's the it's
the
Nations League, yes. But anytime it's US Mexico, it's fun.
Yeah.
This is what we do over the summer because like everything is over, right? There's nothing in the NFL. Hockey's over, basketball's over. The Pirates are in first place, but kind of suck. So you know,
Central sucks.
Yeah, the Central in both
leagues
is terrible.
Yeah.
So I'm here watching soccer, and it's fun because
topic I wanted to, and I do want to talk a little bit about the passing of Stan Savran this week as well. And for those of you that don't know him, we'll let you know. But Pickett, you know, a lot of write-ups this week about mini camps are starting. You know, is this the year that Pickett really gets going and everything?
Is that your Art Rooney impression? That's decent.
It's pretty bad, actually.
No,
we're not going to try and patronize you. It sucks. Anyway, go on.
Ben. Shut up. In any case, Ben and I were talking in the chat a little bit about, you know, what happens if this team struggles offensively out of the gate. Regardless of whether they're winning or losing games. I mean,
here we go.
Well, but are people going to blame Pickett or are they going to blame Canada? And I think
they're going to blame Canada unless
I think
Pickett
so too.
Throws like 3 or 4 interceptions. Canada's getting blamed.
Yeah,
I don't think it's going to be a blanket statement. I think because there are a lot of people that think. Now go back to this. Think about this. There are a lot of people that think that Deontay Johnson sucks because of last year. Because they watched him run all these comeback routes and all these fucking hook routes where he was bracketed by a safety in a corner and got 0 yak because he was running shitty routes in a shitty passing concept, in a shitty passing scheme. That was not his fault. That was not his fault. Yes, Canada sucks donkey balls. I agree with all of you. He's fucking horrible. They should have fired him. It was obvious they're going to have to fire him at the end of his contract anyway. At that point, you go ahead, you acknowledge your
They
mistakes.
won't fire him. He'll be
you
retired.
Fucking move on.
Right.
They'll quietly announce that he won't be coming back.
Correct.
He'll move on with his life.
And he'll be fucking coaching middle school.
He'll be coaching in the fucking CFL. That guy sucks.
With all those Jets, he'd be a great flag football coach.
Point being, there are people that put it on the wide receivers. There are lots of people that put it on Pickett because,
dude,
a lot like Ryan, they hate the Pitt supporters that think that Kenny shit's gold. And so they immediately are turned off by it.
That's bullshit. That's not
Kenny
true.
Pickett sucks.
He sucks. Jamie, if you haven't listened to our program, there's a Canada rant.
I think that's Canada's burner.
It might be Canada's burner.
The funny thing is, I was the one who said on the show that there's people who think that every Pitt player shits gold, and now Ben is transposing that onto Ryan.
I'm just fucking with
Ryan's gears.
I feel like it.
I listen. We are all fucking family here, and I love that.
Amen.
The one thing I want to say, and perhaps Casey may touch on this later.
We got Casey too.
Hey, did you know that Kenny Pickett played at Pitt?
Did you know? Hey, here's your guy. That I found Canada's comments this week not surprising because he said that the offense won't look much different. But the other thing I found, so I didn't find that surprising, but what I found surprising was that he alluded to the front office hindering his input in the offense. That basically the front office tells him what to run. And I'm not going to say that he's completely lying about that, but I am saying
the front office tells him what to run.
No, he said that the front. He literally said that the front office says we need to run the ball, we need to do this, we need to do that, and to me, he's always come across as a total dickhead in these media interviews, and and I know I'm pretty much doing Casey right now, but like he has never once ever said the right thing or acted like he was a human being. At least Todd, you hated Todd, and I don't get why, but Todd was fun, and even Randy would talk about nipple rubbers and stuff like that, and and I think that it's funny and shit, it's funny and shit, you can't tell if Randy is in a Marshall Tucker cover band or he's calling
the year before Ben blew out his fucking elbow. The Steelers offense was fucking awesome. They were fantastic. They were number one in the red zone by a large margin. They were great. And everybody loved Randy. They thought he was fantastic because Todd's fucking nemesis was the red zone. He would move the ball easily between the 20s and at will, and then he'd get into the red zone, he'd try and get cute. It was like, what the fuck, Todd?
No, and Steelers Freak, bless your heart, Steelers Freak. We love you, and we appreciate you being here with us. And he says Canada was pointing the finger at Tomlin, and I can't say yes or no to that, but I'm going to say this: if he was, and Tomlin is the person saying, "Hey, you need to minimize mistakes and run the football because our defense is going to win us games." I also I refute that with, he literally would go to, and Todd Haley's talked about this, but he would literally go to Todd Haley, and Todd Haley would be like, "Coach, how many points we got to score this week?" And Tom would be like 30, and I understand the defense is, God damn it, we're doing Casey right now. We might as well do it. But the point is the point is it's
called premature Casey?
Premature caselation.
There we go.
Something like that.
Go on, make your point here. I want to hear this.
Is that Tomlin had the faith in Todd Haley and the unit to score that many points.
Right.
But now Tomlin has the faith in the defense to hold him to maybe 20, and maybe the offense scores 23.
Let's be frank, okay? The strength of the team right now is the defense, one. And second,
I agree.
Last year, the offensive line was improving and improving and improving as the year went along. And all of a sudden, it was like, you know what? we actually might be able to run the fucking ball. Well, let's run the ball because we can't fucking throw it. So let's run the ball.
And what happens if, and I'm telling, and this is a legit concern, and I know they
Sure. Go ahead.
upgraded the line.
Yep.
What happens when teams figure that shit out come week 5 and they have to throw the ball again?
They're going to stack the box. It's going to
okay. I was actually being optimistic there and saying week 5, maybe they get to 3-1 and then all of a sudden it's whatever. but no, like
at some point we're going to be down. We're going to have to throw the ball. I agree with you. It's going to happen.
Yep.
The bright side of this, if you will, the upside is that if the ground game has been established as a threat and it's scary, they will stack the box and the wide receivers will have one-on-one. And that's a whole lot easier for a quarterback, especially a young quarterback, to be thrown into.
Yeah, but how many times last year was Pickens or Deontay open and it was just
missed?
He missed
him. He missed him.
Just
yeah,
missed.
He didn't see him.
Flat out didn't see him.
Like,
did you notice? Did you read yesterday? And I thought this was interesting. Did you read yesterday that they're putting a camera into Kenny Pickett's helmet this year, and they're going to overlay that with all 22, and then review the film with him so that they can see what he saw, and then show him when he should have thrown the ball if he misses throws.
That's actually a really good idea.
So every time,
great idea.
This is like practice.
No, this is his helmet.
No. But they're doing this in practice, obviously.
They're not putting a fucking GoPro on the top of his helmet. No, Mark, it's going to be in the helmet.
So
shit. What I'm saying is they're going to be doing this in practice. I think
in the games.
It's going to be games.
Okay, that's what I'm asking. Yeah. I didn't realize that would be allowed.
Yes, I don't really see an issue with it, to be perfectly honest. As long as the helmet is still, as long as it still meets the protective standards of the NFL, that's the question. But they make cameras so goddamn small now.
Oh no, I think it's a great idea. I'm just wondering if Lord Goodell and his minions would allow such a thing.
I think it'd be really cool if they had a GoPro on the top of his helmet, though. That'd be really fun, like a motorcycle rider going down the road.
Look at a 13-inch monitor up there.
So every time.
Speaking of helmets, did you see the LSU offensive lineman with the air-conditioned helmets?
I've heard of them, but I haven't seen them.
What the fuck? How?
What the fuck are we doing with our lives now?
Like, seriously, how do you put a fucking air conditioner, a small air conditioner, which is, I guess, basically what it is, kind of a swamp cooler air conditioner kind of a thing?
Yeah.
I'm like, how do you do how?
I picture some like random fucking dude from the swamp making this thing and telling it farmer friend. You remember time I bouquet on that down
That's what I was picturing too.
Like, remember the old Gatorade commercials that were with Keith Jackson that were like, It was so hot in the swamp that they needed something to recharge and they invented Gatorade.
Yeah.
We called it Gatorade.
That was the old school yellow Gatorade.
Yeah,
right.
That shit was the bomb.
Yeah,
that was awesome. All lemon lime. That was all came in.
They should have just left it that way. Damn it.
Goddamn right.
Was it moose piss? We'll never know.
Oh God.
I'm annoying this show. I apologize.
I'm really disappointed in you, right? Not really though.
Going back to a point that Freak made, that type of play won't win against tier 1 shootout games. And I tend to agree with him. I mean,
okay. Is this a tier 1 team?
No.
Is it? So what fucking difference does it make? Well, I'm sorry to put it so bluntly, but this is not a contender. It's not. All right. I'm sorry to burst everyone's bubble. It's not even, the season hasn't even started yet. But it's not. It's not a tier 1 team.
It's a team that can win 24-20
games.
It's
a team on the rise.
Yes, that's a recipe for 500, though.
Yes, it is.
That's not
absolutely.
Hey, it's a recipe for 10-7, motherfucker.
10-7 would have made the playoffs last year.
I think this team will make the playoffs this year. I do not think. Because they're going to play like a 2 or a 3 seed.
Well, exactly.
So I don't see him winning a game again.
But to me, that goes to what his point is. You are not going to go into Kansas City and win with that.
No, we're going to
play. You're just not. and I could
Well,
probably pick
it
4 or 5
depends.
other teams.
You know what,
We
though?
could be fortunate. It could be like a snowy day in Kansas City,
Yeah,
which
hey,
would help us because I think we're going to have a pretty good ground game.
That's why you play the games.
Yeah.
I mean, you just don't know.
That could help, honestly. It could.
Right.
So hopefully that happens and I'm wrong, or Buffalo or something.
Yeah.
If we played Buffalo in the playoffs on the road, I would absolutely bet the Steelers because Buffalo sucks. They're so overrated. Their fucking coach is so overrated. Yes. I listen. I'm being so serious right now. And every asshole out there wants to call me a Steelers hater. I literally just said that the Steelers would be the Buffalo Bills on the road in the playoffs.
Wow.
Man.
I'm gonna write that down on my
Buffalo. I mean, I'll say this: the theory that Josh Allen is this generation's Phillip Rivers has some legs to it.
Oh, dude. That's brutal.
Wow.
But yeah, you could be right.
I mean, it's got legs. It's not completely untrue. They have laid some absolute eggs in the playoffs.
Didn't we have an agenda that we were going to try and stick to at some point?
It's the off season. the
off
other
season.
thing
I don't
I'll
even
say,
know why I
and
put an agenda.
I can't believe I'm saying this, but on the field, we are not that far behind the Bengals. On paper, we are miles behind the Bengals, but we went into Cincinnati and won a weird-ass Week 1 game last year, which a win is a win, regardless of when you get it. We still beat them.
It's fair.
And then at home, yes, they were up by a lot, and we scored a garbage time touchdown, but it was 37-30. That was our highest point output of the year, and we only lost by 7. Like, if we had not fucked around in the first half of that game,
right,
maybe it would have gone differently.
That's exactly what I thought during the second half. If we hadn't fucked around in the first half of the game, we would have had a chance.
Yes. So on paper, you're like, well, fuck, they got Joe Burrow, they got Jamar Chase, they got Joe Mixon, they got pretty much at every position, maybe except for outside linebacker, the Bengals are probably better than the Steelers, but then they play each other and you're like,
no,
they're
not
that
now.
far behind them.
Because of the guys they lost on defense, they are not.
And the funny thing about that home game last year was Jamar Chase didn't even play and Joe Mixon got hurt and Samaje Perine scored 3 touchdowns.
Yes.
And Trenton and the fucking lead guitar player for Cinderella, Trenton Irwin, scored a touchdown. All right, this dude, I'm not even kidding you. This dude caught a touchdown. Okay, and then after the game, he went over to Stage AE and fucking did a set and played Gypsy Road. Don't know what you got till it's gone.
Heartbreak Station.
And then went over and then got back on the plane and made it back to Cincinnati. I mean, I'm just like,
God, I hope Matt's listening.
Trenton Irwin scored a go-ahead touchdown.
That was funny.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah, no, that's great. Love 80s band references.
I gotta admit, that game kind of it fucked the Steelers up, but it was a blessing from the standpoint that the Steelers decided during the course of that game that the middle of their defense needed an injection of talent. They got rid of both linebackers, all 3 linebackers. They're like, all of you are gone. Upgraded there in terms of stopping the run anyway. And drafted Keanu Benton. Yeah. They're like, yep. So this team needs this. It needs this. And then signed Brendan. What the fuck? How do you say his last name?
Fehoko.
Fehoko.
He's a very good follow on Twitter, by the way. He's funny.
He's great. I agree with you. But that guy is a pure run plugger. He's just a 2-gapping fucking nose tackle. That's what he's
going to beat some people.
He's just going to be like, yep, nope, not getting through here. A gaps are closed.
Before we do get to Casey Kasem, I did want to take a moment to talk about Stan Savran, often referred to as the Godfather of Pittsburgh sports. And Ian and Ryan, and to an extent, Ben, you guys will know a lot more about
Nobody's going to replace this guy.
Stan more than me, but I love listening to him. I mean, just the passion, and I loved reading some of the comments on him this week from some of the journalists and stuff there. This guy just battled one health problem after another, and
He had
rarely
his foot amputated earlier this year and kept working. He was still on the
He
radio.
was not missing work, and I mean,
It's crazy.
total respect for this guy. Ian and Scarps, I'll let you guys talk a little bit about Stan Savran.
Ryan probably knew him a lot more personally than I did. My interactions with him were pretty much limited to like calling into his show a few times and like, you know, talking to him on Twitter a little bit. But like,
Twatter.
you know, you could be, you know, Stan, for one thing, Stan was a great interviewer. Like, he interviewed a lot of like high level people across the athletic spectrum. He was a big tennis fan. He was a big golf fan. Like, Stan knew his sports inside and out, and he loved his damn job, and he was really freaking good at it.
Yes, he was.
But even for the people who called in with like the crazy shit that Pittsburgh sports fans call in with, he would still give you the time of day. The only time he like got frustrated when he was like, I got to go to break. We got to end this. I'm sorry. Thank you for calling, you know. But like he would give people the time of day, you know, even on Twitter, that he would talk to people and reply back to them. He was great. And, you know, it's not just, you know, who he was on the air, what his personality was, but like you see all these people coming out and talking to him about like how he helped their careers and how he went out of his way for them. And, you know, I think it goes to show how well respected he was, that like he was on the committee for choosing the Steelers Hall of Honor, right? That like the Steelers organization was like, this guy is so dedicated to his craft that we want him on this committee. And there was an interview with Art Rooney this week, and, you know, and Art was like, yeah, well, you know, we had this Zoom call and Stan texted me and said he couldn't make it, you know, to talk about the Hall of Honor, but then he texted me as two guys that he thought should be in, and I'm like, Stan's like on his deathbed and is texting Art Rooney like these guys should get in the Hall of Honor. Like, he was so dedicated to his job that it was just, you know, they don't make people like that anymore. Like, you know, kids, I don't want to be like kids these days, but like, you know, his job was his life, and he dedicated himself to it, and he was damn good at it.
Yeah, I agree. And Chrissy was supposed to join us tonight. I hope she's okay. I don't know what transpired with her, but for those of you who don't know, Chrissy's been here at SCB longer than any of these three dorks, and she did share a funny story that Stan and Chrissy has worked in sports radio for 2 decades in Pittsburgh. And she said she got quite a compliment from Stan after they had known each other for a long time, that apparently she had the best rack in Pittsburgh sports.
She is the only person that I know who, she's worked in sports radio for so long. She's the only person I know who actually knows Mark Madden and likes him.
That's true. She does. She likes Mark, and says that he's a very different guy than what he portrays.
That he's a very, very nice guy.
Right. And
I want to punch him in the face, but okay.
Well, agreed. But I'll take Chrissy at her word. She's
oh yeah, for sure. I agree
so,
with you. It's just she must have a far different perspective than I do.
Right. But Scarps, did you have any interaction with Stan?
Yeah, I tweeted this earlier this week when I found out that Stan died. I had known that he was sick and probably wasn't going to make it, and you know that didn't really make it that much easier. You know, it really wasn't a Tomlin Tuesday until Stan showed up, and Stan, you know, back when Root Sports had the Tomlin Tuesday thing, and that eventually went away, but it wasn't a Tomlin Tuesday until Stan showed up, and you know, I bless the media people, and I still talk to them. We're still close. You know, Stan would be doing his pre thing and his post thing, and like they would it'd be so goddamn loud. And I remember like plenty of times just being like, God, Jesus Christ, like have some respect for Stan. Didn't phase Stan. Stan had done it so many times, it didn't matter to the noise. Like he nailed every pre and post Tomlin thing. And even going way back, I interned at Root Sports when I was heading into my senior year of college, and I remember, growing up in Pittsburgh, the old days of KBL, and that was the old station that the Penguins games used to be on, and for you Penguins fans that were watching before they won a Stanley Cup in 2009, I'm throwing a little shade at you right now. But for Stan was just synonymous with love the show, and that was a DVE thing. DVE Jimmy Krenn would call in to the sports beat, and he'd be scorekeeper. He'd say, "Hey, guy, I love the show." That was just so synonymous in Pittsburgh sports history lore. And so I remember like interning at Root Sports and like meeting Stan for the first time, and like I don't want to say fanboying, but also like being sort of admiring, like like someone that I had known pretty much my whole life when it came to like Pittsburgh sports memories. But for Tomlin's press conferences, I remember he always used to give a countdown. He'd say 2:15, 2:15, and then he'd give you like the increments going down, and like not that Tomlin isn't prompt now, but like Tomlin loves Stan that much and respected Stan that much that he was always like, how much time we got? How much time we got? Like he always like tried to time it up, and I always thought that was like a testament to like that relationship with Stan and the respect factor. And just and I would say too that what I loved about Stan the most was that Sports Beat was canceled, and Root Sports didn't have the Tomlin press conference anymore. But that dude just always found a way to work, and he always found a way to connect with you. And whether that was 10:20 or it was not 10:20,
970 was what he
970.
was
My
on,
apologies.
yeah.
KDK.
It's ESPN Pittsburgh.
970. So after when he was just 970, and we would be at camp. And you'd just be fucking miserable, and it'd be hot, and Stan would be like, any chance after walkthrough we can get a guy up. And I remember I would go to like a younger guy, and like a Cam Hayward when he was younger, or an up and comer, and I'd say, listen, this is the godfather of Pittsburgh sports radio and Pittsburgh sports. You need to talk to this guy. And I maybe got Stan a few guests or whatever I ever got Stan doesn't equate to the impact that Stan had on everybody. And last thing, and we'll get to Casey, but last thing is when I heard about it, I got a text about it, and I just felt like really sad, and like I hadn't seen Stan in a long time. But Stan had like a brain surgery. He had a brain problem, and
tons of stuff. It was just incredible.
He had like 30 surgeries in his life,
and he kept working.
And he had a brain. I remember he had a brain one, and like within like a month, he was back doing the Tomlin press conference. And I was like, and I remember like going up to him and be like, being like, dude, it's okay to like fucking take a week off or something. Like it's just like something like that. But like
not for him.
Like last thing, my life. I was born in '87, but I remember Mike Lang, Stan Savran, Myron Cope, Billy Hillgrove. And I apologize if I'm missing anybody, but
Lanny Fratteri would be
Lanny.
The
yes,
one
I said Lanny.
Yeah,
Lanny from the Pirates.
Yeah.
So like Stan is just like, and last but not least, sorry. Yeah. Stan never had a bad day. Even with a brain surgery and 30 surgery, he never had a bad day. So cheers to Stan. Rest in peace. What a fucking guy, man.
Pittsburgh legend.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, Mark, Ryan was born in '87. What year did you graduate from high school?
Let's see, 90.
90?
90, yep.
Really?
Tomorrow morning should be fun.
1990, really? Tell me something, Mark. Why do you look so old?
Holy fuck, you're coming in hot
Man,
tonight.
he has come hot for me tonight.
Still dead. Still dead. Did you trim the old whiskers?
He did. It looks way
There-
better, actually. I was going to tell him that off the area later, but
Jesus Christ.
There was an incident.
See, here's the thing. Mark had a daughter before he had a son, so that ages you a lot.
yeah. Okay. That's a fair point. I get it now.
Yes.
You're right. That's a
Although,
really good point, Ian.
I would just say kids, period.
Mhm.
Just kids.
And Mark deals with
and Mark
adolescents
teaches
all the time.
on top
yeah.
of that.
Yeah. Plus I deal with 180 juvenile delinquents every day.
And then you have a podcast with 3 more. Like, what's wrong with
right,
you?
right.
I mean,
I
come
really
on.
could just interchange
We're not
the
that
3 of
bad.
you
We're
with-
kind of, we're like
Yeah.
late adolescents.
No, I was trimming the beard, and I was just going to thin it out a little bit for summer, take it down a little, and I made a boo boo and basically scalped myself right down the middle.
Oh,
Well, why didn't you just go with like the Wolverine chops?
Oh,
Really
but
long all the
it
way
was
out
there
here.
for a little while.
That would have been
And-
really cool.
No, it was awesome. And I had it, and then the wife was threatening death to me if I walked out of the house with it. So eventually, I decided to get rid of it, but it's coming
I
back
love
pretty
it.
good. Coming back
I
pretty
love
good.
it.
By the way, for everyone at home listening, I'm actually older than Mark.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm 55.
Oh shit!
You are
Pulisic scored
not.
again. All right,
Huh?
sorry.
55.
Pulisic
You're not
scored again.
I am-
55.
It
I
is
am
now a dose
50 fucking 5.
No shit.
Sammy
Bitches.
Hagar over
I thought you
here.
were like 53.
No, I am 55. I graduated in 1986.
Wow.
Yeah. Well, it's clean living, man.
Good for you.
And jazzercise and water aerobics.
Yes, Ben is a faithful jazzercisist.
Goddamn right.
I know
Yeah.
Casey.
When my dad turned 55, we
Not
made
really,
him a
sorry.
rectangle shaped cake and iced it like a speed limit sign.
It's great.
good.
That's fantastic.
That is actually good.
Casey, you ready?
Fuck. Yeah, let's try this. This is gonna be interesting.
Ben looks-
KC's coast to coast. American top 40.
I love it. That was a good
Hello,
one for
everyone, and welcome to the week that was June 15th, 1985. Ryan from Pittsburgh writes, Dear Casey, just when you thought Antonio Brown had reached his limit of absurdity, earlier today, the National Arena League announced that his team, the Albany Empire, was kicked out of the league because he failed to pay his league fees and penalties. I am still determining how this could happen. It's not like he has a pattern of behavior. He's never done anything like this before. It's me. Hi. I am the problem. It's me. Ben, that's Taylor Swift for you. Casey, I'm not sure if you know this, but back in 2018, I pissed off the former All-Pro wide receiver by tweeting that he should be thankful that he was drafted by the Steelers and that he got to play with a Hall of Fame quarterback in Ben. He responded with, trade me, let's find out. Slowly but surely, we found out. I won't lie. I felt a little vindication when it became clear to the fans that he was nuttier than squirrel turds. But everything that's happened after is just a shame. AB, if you're listening, I wish you well and hope you get the help that you need. Perhaps instead of putting that shit on, you should put that shit off.
Yeah.
Speaking of awful, earlier this week, Steelers offensive coordinator Matt Canada said not to expect the offense to look much different this season. Well, that's refreshing. He also hinted that the higher-ups are hindering him, that they're the ones that are dictating the offense. Casey, I have a PhD in bullshit. I can smell that from a mile away. I'm no PR guru, but I think it might have been suited better if Matt Canada had just owned up to his faults rather than turn it on the organization that gave him a chance and continues to give him a chance despite red flags. Perhaps Antonio Brown and Matt Canada aren't quite so different after all. Casey, there's no question Antonio Brown is an all-time Steelers great.
Yeah.
He might even be the best Steelers receiver ever. Matt Canada, on the other hand, and you thought Todd Haley was bad. Could you imagine if the 2014 to 2017 Steelers had this defense? Excuse me, Casey, as I take a stroll down Sentimental Street. Well, Ryan, thanks for your letter, and thanks for sticking to pre-1995 as we discussed last week. Up 4 spots to number 29 this week, we have Night Ranger off their album 7 Wishes. Here's Sentimental Street.
I like how Casey talks to Casey.
Whatever.
I love it.
Nuttier than squirrel poop. That's amazing.
That's good shit.
No,
Yeah.
he's bad shit. That guy is fucking
wow.
bad shit.
What's everybody's status for next week? I'm thinking maybe in overtime.
Ooh.
No, okay, but I'm in Arizona next week.
Oh,
So,
all right. Okay.
Totally fine.
We can hold
But
off.
Can we
I'm
do
gonna
it?
no. We can do it, but
Well, Scarps.
actually, can we hold off for a week? Maybe?
Yeah.
I was
that's
going to say,
nice.
can we do it the week after? That'll be leading into the 4th.
Yeah, I agree.
Oh, I think so. Yeah.
Yeah.
We want it overtime.
Well, yeah. I'll make it work.
Now, here's a group of guys that take overtime seriously.
I have to.
There's no coin toss in this overtime.
Well,
We're
I
going to
mean,
get the ball.
I-
We're going to score.
The initial overtime,
Or
the
we want
first
the ball,
one
we're
when
gonna
Mark
score.
wasn't here to make sure we were behaving, that was fantastic.
Yeah, we
And
know
that was
that'll
just kind of an
never be
impromptu.
That was an unintentional. Yeah.
That was kind of an impromptu. Hey,
Where it
let's
all
just keep
started.
going. Fuck
Yeah.
it. Hey, Mark, yes, were you break it for the initial episode.
That's right. I have nothing to do with that initial episode. Nothing.
Yeah.
Nothing at all.
Yeah, that
anyway, just
I need
real
to go
quick.
back and watch that one again because honestly,
good.
that was some fucking fantastic comedy.
Oh my God, that was when Casey was born. That's your
That
fault,
was
when
man. You were
was.
talking about the fart game.
Yeah.
No, yeah, that's right. We were talking
Yeah.
about the fart game. I forgot about that.
You had the Whitney Houston crack his wax shirt on. You were talking about
Jeffy Holobosky. Jeffy Holobosky actually is a person. Just FYI.
Oh my God.
From
Ben is
Tucson,
going to
Arizona.
visit Jody Arias.
Dude, Steelers Freak is fucking, he's on fire tonight.
Steelers
He's
Freak
on
is-
tonight, isn't he?
We
God
love our listeners,
damn
but
it.
in fault, the Steelers Freak is always
He is on one tonight.
Steelers Freak talking about bubblegum bong water and fucking all kinds of shit.
Jesus Christ. That is
Oh,
fantastic.
All right. Thank you to everybody who's been listening. This is the SCB Steelers Podcast presented by Deck Roofing Incorporated of South Florida. And once again, we are very proud to be part of the Variety Sports Network. Check us out, SteelCityBlitz.com and all the socials for those of you on the Twitters and Facebook and Instagram and everything else saying, hey, go Steelers.
Ravens suck.
Yeah, I can't move my pinky.